This is Fitness Blender's Total Body Endurance Cardio Workout. In this routine, we're going to be doing rounds of 9 different exercises at 10 repetitions each. We're going to be doing a total of 5 rounds, giving you 450 total repetitions. Now we're going to be giving you 10 seconds break in between each round, so it's not a whole lot. We're going to be moving through this really quickly, and you're not going to have any rest in between exercises, except for the amount of time it takes you to move from one exercise to the next. Now we haven't included a warm-up or cool down, so you'll want to add both of those in on your own. And this routine also requires some kind of weight, which we suggest using some kind of dumbbell. So go ahead and pause it here and get started with your warm-up. Otherwise, let's go ahead and get started with our first exercise, which is going to be squat jumps. Again, 10 repetitions. Start them up, just a nice quick motion, dropping down as low as you can comfortably go. And then a nice quick jump straight up in the air as hard as possible, trying to get as much distance off the ground as you can with each repetition. And let it relax. Go and switch to a push-up. You can either do these off of your knees or off of your toes, whichever version is hard enough for you. Just go through another 10 repetitions. Try to keep that back nice and flat. If you're going off those knees, you want a straight line from shoulder to knee. If you're going off those toes, you want a straight line from shoulder to ankle. Just keep those lungs open. Try to get a nice full range of motion on those arms. And let it relax. Go and stand up. We've got jumping jacks next. Nice quick motion. Keep those arms and legs completely rigid. Keep those core muscles nice and tight. Keep those lungs open, just moving nice and quick. Back down on the ground. We got toe touches next. Flat on that back. Get those feet up in the air. And crunch up towards those toes. As much range of motion as you can, crunching up towards those feet. Make sure every single time you come back down, you don't let those abs completely release. Keep a little bit of space underneath those shoulders. And back up again. We've got burpees for our next round. Drop down, kick those feet out, back up, nice high jump at the top. Now if you want to, you can cut that jump out of the top and make it a little bit easier for you by not doing that jump. Otherwise, a nice hard jump at the top, as well as moving those feet as quickly as you possibly can, kicking them back out behind you. Now make sure you're getting those legs all the way out to a full extension, getting those hips down nice and low. When you come up, you want to make sure that you're bringing both those feet at the same time rather than one at a time. And let it relax. Let's move on to the next, which is a back bow plus a hamstring curl. So grab that mat, laying flat down on your stomach. Arms and legs out, fully extended. You're going to pull those arms and legs up, nice tight squeeze, and then curl those heels in towards your butt, extend them out, and then drop everything back down. Make sure you're keeping those lungs open. Make sure you're keeping those arms and legs completely rigid. The only time you want those knees to bend is when you pull that heel in towards your butt. Just keep that motion going. Keep those lungs open. Really concentrate on that form. Make sure everything's really nice and tight. Every single time you pull those heels in towards your butt, make sure you're still trying to keep those thighs up off the ground as high as you possibly can. Just keep it going. Nice fluid motion. The easier version is actually letting those hands and feet touch the ground for a split second before coming back up. Harder version is keeping those hands and feet hovering so that back stays contracted the entire time. Go ahead and let it relax or move on to our next, which is going to be a clean and press. Now, if you don't have a dumbbell for this, that's perfectly fine. You can use a water bottle or some other kind of weighted object. Otherwise, grab that dumbbell. We're switching individually in between repetitions. So real quick up that shoulder, extend over that shoulder, and then slowly back down. Switch hands. Do the same thing over on the other side. Make sure you're driving this motion with those legs. It's a nice quick snap, getting that dumbbell up to that shoulder. Then you do another little hop with those legs to get that dumbbell from that shoulder all the way over your head. Just keep that motion going under control. Keep that back nice and flat. Remember, use those legs as much as you can for this motion. Don't rely on just that shoulder. Just 2 more on each side. Keep those lungs open. Keep that back flat. 1 more on each side. And there's your last one right here. And let it relax. All right, drop down on the ground, and we're doing a tricep dip. If you have a chair handy, do the tricep dips off of your chair. Otherwise, you can kind of do these off of the ground like Kelly's doing here. Kind of just supporting your weight off of those heels, slowly dipping down, trying to get as much range of motion off of those triceps as you can. Like I said, it's a little bit better range of motion if you can do this off of a chair. Just a couple more. And go ahead and let it relax. Let's go ahead and move on to our last exercise this round, which is going to be a reverse lunge. So standing up, You're going to stand and step back with one leg into a lunge position. So very similar to a traditional lunge where you step forward. You're just going to kick that leg back behind you. Just works those legs a little bit differently than a traditional lunge. So stepping back as far as you can control, as far as is comfortable, getting that knee down nice and low. And go ahead and let that relax. Go ahead and go into an active rest. You got 10 seconds till we start this whole thing over again for our second round. So just keep those feet moving. Nice big deep breath. Try to recover as best you can. And starting again with those jump squats. Feet nice and wide. Squat down. Jump it up as hard as you possibly can. This one's nice and quick. Just try to keep those repetitions going as fast as you can. So as soon as you drop onto the ground, you're going right back down into that squat again. One more. And let it relax. Let's go ahead and move on to our next exercise, doing those traditional push-ups. So either off those knees or off those toes. And go ahead and start them up. Try to get a nice big full range of motion. If you want to, you can switch into a tricep push-up, which is keeping those elbows tucked in really nice and close to that rib cage. Otherwise, you can stay out nice and wide with those hands out wider than shoulder width for that regular wide push-up. And let it relax. Go ahead and switch off to the next one, which is going to be traditional jumping jacks. Let's go ahead and stand up, get those arms and legs nice and rigid, and start them up. Nice quick hop, those legs in and out. And go ahead and let that relax. We're going to move on to our next, which is going to be a toe touch crunch, flat on your back, feet up in the air. And crunch it up nice and tight towards those toes. Get as much range of motion as you can. Try to keep that back up off the ground all the time. Even when you lay back, keep a little bit of a hover underneath those shoulders. And let that one relax. Go and stand up again. We've got burpees coming up next. Get that mat out of the way. Nice quick range of motion. Move as fast as you can. Try to get that jump to the top if you want that slightly harder version. Just whatever you do, make sure you're moving as quickly as you can, keeping those lungs open. Don't hold your breath. Just two more. Your last one's right here. And let it relax. All right, let's go and move on to our next exercise, which is that back bow with a hamstring curl. So flat down in your stomach, arms and legs out. And start up, crunch them up nice and high off the ground. Then pull those heels into that butt, extend them back out, and then drop it. Just keep that motion going, keep those lungs open. Again, try to keep those thighs up off the ground the entire time as high as you possibly can until you're dropping those legs and arms back down. Now the easier version, like I've said before, is letting those hands and feet completely touch against the ground each time to give you a little bit of a rest. The harder version is keeping those hands and feet hovering all the time above the ground. Just two more repetitions to go. And your last one right here, squeeze those heels in, extend back out, and let it relax. Go ahead and stand back up. We're going to do our clean and press next. So if you have that dumbbell handy, go ahead and grab that. Otherwise, just some other kind of weight. And start up. Remember, use those legs as much as you can. Drive that weight with those legs, get that momentum built into it, sling it up to that shoulder, pause for just a second, then hop again and press that dumbbell the rest of the way over top of that shoulder. Just make sure you're trying to use those legs as much as you can, not just using that arm to try to drive that motion. Keep that back nice and flat. Remember, there's a really quick, choppy motion, so make sure you're slinging that weight up there, trying to use momentum, trying to use those legs. Just two more in each arm. Keep that form nice and clean. Make sure that back is flat. Make sure those lungs are open. Don't hold your breath. One more on each side. And here's your last repetition right here. And let it relax. Go and drop that dumbbell down. You got tricep dips coming up next. Go and drop down on the ground or off of that chair. Hands pulled in nice and close behind you. Try to keep those elbows squeezed in towards each other. Dropping down as low as you can, trying to get as much range of motion off that shoulder as is comfortable for that shoulder. Just two more. And let it relax. Go and stand back up. We've got our reverse lunges next, so kick that mat out of the way. And step back, lunge down in that nice deep lunge position. Try to get that foot back behind you as far as you can. Try to get that knee down towards the ground as low as is comfortable. Then right back up to that standing position and back down again with that opposite leg. Just keep alternating back and forth. Keep that back nice and flat. Keep those lungs open. And we are done with those lunges. We got another active rest. Keep those feet moving. We're done with 2 rounds. This is our start of our third. So we're starting back over with those jump squats. Nice big deep squat, feet nice and wide, jumping as hard as you possibly can, straight up in the air, then right back into that squat again. Just 2 more repetitions. And down to the ground for those push-ups. And start them up. Nice full range of motion on those arms, trying to keep a nice straight line from shoulder to knee. Almost done. And stand up for those jumping jacks. Nice quick motion, arms and legs nice and rigid. Just a few more, keep them going. And let it relax, go and drop down on the ground for those toe touches. Flat on your back, feet straight up in the air. And crunch up towards those toes. Try to get those hands up towards those feet as close as you can. Remember, don't let those shoulders completely touch the ground on the way back down. And let that one relax. Go and stand up. We've got our round of burpees coming up next. So kick that mat out of the way. And start them up. Really try to focus on that form. Nice clean form. Kicking those legs out back behind you. Make sure both those feet are moving at the same time. Make sure you're jumping as hard as you can at the top of that range of motion as is possible. And remember, if you have to or if you need to, you can always cut out that jump at the top to make it a little bit easier. And we're almost done. Just 2 more repetitions. Here's your last one. And let it relax. Good job. Let's go and move on to our next exercise, the back bows plus a hamstring curl. So flat down in your stomach. Get those arms and legs extended out straight. And squeeze them up nice and high. Curl those heels into your butt. Extend them back out and drop. Remember, keep those feet hovering and those hands hovering for the harder version. Let them completely touch for the easier version. Almost done, just 2 more repetitions. 1 left. Squeeze those heels in nice and tight, extend out, and let it relax. Good job. Go and stand back up. We've got a clean and press next. So grab that dumbbell if you have one handy. Remember, you don't necessarily have to have a dumbbell for this. You can use any other kind of weighted object. And start them in. Nice quick choppy motion with those legs, building that momentum. Get it up to that shoulder and then hop those legs again. Getting it above that head. Just keep that motion going, alternating left to right. Just 2 more on each side. Keep that back flat. Keep those lungs open. I know you're getting nice and tired, but try to keep that form as clean as you possibly can. So 1 more on the other side. And let it relax. Drop that dumbbell off. Going off to tricep dips next. Down on the ground. Dropping those elbows out behind you as far as is comfortable, as far as those shoulders can stretch. Making sure you're getting a really, really good tight squeeze on those triceps, keeping those elbows pinned together. And go ahead and let it relax. Stand back up. We've got a reverse lunges next. Stepping back behind you into that lunge position. Getting that foot back out behind you as far as you can control. Getting that knee down to the ground as low as you can control. Try to make sure that back stays nice and flat and those lungs stay open. Just 1 more on each leg. And let it relax. Very good job. We're going to take a little bit of a break here. Grab yourself a drink of water. Hit pause if you need a little extra rest. You've definitely earned it. You only have 2 rounds left when we come back. All right, let's go and get ready to start again. Get into that boxer shuffle. We're starting round number 4, starting back in with jump squats. And start them up. Feet about hip width apart, shoulder width apart, jumping as hard as you can up from that deep squat. Make sure you're trying to get down as low as is comfortable for those hips to go, as low as is comfortable for those knees to go. Make sure that back stays flat. And switch it to that push-up, down on the ground. The hardest version of push-up that you can control. Make sure you have that back nice and straight line from shoulder to hip or shoulder to ankle if you're doing that full version. And let that relax. Go and stand up for those jumping jacks. Nice rigid arm, nice rigid leg, moving as quick as you can. And let that relax back down on your back for those toe touch crunches. Feet up in the air. And start them up. Crunch up towards those toes. Nice tight squeeze. Remember, trying to let those shoulders completely relax down to the ground. Trying to let those abs completely release. And let that one relax. Go and stand up for your next round of burpees. And let's go ahead and start them up. Keep that form nice and solid. Keep those lungs open. Doing the hardest version you can control. And we're almost done. Just 2 more repetitions to go. And here's your last one right here. And let it relax. Good job. Go ahead and lay down flat on your stomach for this next one. We're doing back bows plus a hamstring curl. And get those arms and legs out straight. And start up. Squeeze those legs up. Curl those heels into that butt. Extend them back out and drop. Make sure you're keeping those arms and legs hovering off the ground for the harder version, or letting them completely touch if you want to make it a little bit easier. And we're almost done. Just 2 more repetitions. Squeeze those heels in. 1 more time. And let it relax down. Let's go and stand back up for our next exercise, the clean and press. And go and grab that dumbbell or whatever weight you're using. And start up. Squat down and get that momentum into that dumbbell up to that shoulder. Then hop those legs again to get that dumbbell from that shoulder all the way over your head. Now make sure you're also alternating hands every single repetition. You're keeping that back nice and flat for every single repetition as well. Almost done. Just 2 repetitions on each side. Keep that back nice and flat. Keep those lungs open. And just 1 more on each side. And here's your last one right here. And let that weight drop down nice and slow. Go ahead and set it down. We're going to be doing that tricep dip next. So down on the ground, hands back behind you. Try to keep those elbows pinched in towards each other as close as you can. And drop down as low as is comfortable for that shoulder. And we're almost done. And let it relax. Go and stand back up for our last exercise of this round. We're doing those reverse lunges. Go ahead and step back behind you down into that lunge position. Step back as far as you can control, and drop that knee down towards the ground as far as you can control. Keep that back nice and flat. Keep those lungs open. Just 1 more on each leg. And stand back up, get that boxer shuffle going. We have just 1 round left to go. So make sure you're pushing as hard as you can through every single one of these exercises. Nothing left behind. And start those jump squats nice and deep. Jump as hard as you possibly can at the top. Try and get as much distance off the ground every single repetition. Try and get right back down into that squat again every single time. And let it relax. Go ahead and drop down to the ground for that push-up. Nice full range of motion on those arms. Either off those knees or those toes. Keep those lungs open and a nice flat back. Just 2 more repetitions. And stand it back up for those jumping jacks. Nice rigid arm, nice rigid leg. Moving as quickly as you can. And let that relax back down on the ground for those toe touch crunches. Laying flat on your back, legs straight up in the air. And crunch up towards those toes. Get a nice big full range of motion. Remember, try not to let that back completely touch the ground when you drop back down. Keep those abs always contracted. And let that one relax. Go and stand back up for your next round of burpees. And start them up. Remember, this is your last round of all these exercises, so make sure you're pushing through this as hard as you possibly can. Keep that form as clean as possible. I know your body's really tired and it's telling you to stop, it's telling you to cheat a little bit, but keep pushing through it and your body will reward you by becoming stronger, faster, and leaner. Just keep going a little bit longer. You're almost done with this entire round. And let that one relax. Let's go ahead and move on to our next exercise, the back bows plus a hamstring curl. Just go ahead and drop down onto your stomach, arms and legs extended out straight. And start up. Crunch those arms and legs up as high as you possibly can. Curl those heels into your butt. Extend them back out and slowly back down. Just keep that motion going as smooth and even as you possibly can. Try to keep those thighs up as high as possible the entire time. Just 2 more repetitions to go. Keep those thighs up nice and high. Curl those heels in nice and tight. And this is your last one. And let it relax. Good job. Go ahead and stand back up. We got our last round of this clean and press. Go ahead and grab that dumbbell or whatever weight you're using. And start them up. Nice quick squat. Make sure you're keeping those lungs open. Make sure you're keeping that back flat. And you're alternating which hand you're using with every single repetition. Just keep it going nice and even. Don't let yourself give out. And we're almost done. Just 2 more on each side. Nice quick motion. Keep that back flat. Keep those lungs open. Remember, make sure you're using those legs more than those arms. Last one on the other side. And let it relax. Good job. Go ahead and drop that dumbbell down. Get on the ground for those tricep dips or off of that chair, whichever you have handy. Make sure you're getting those elbows squeezed together as tight as you can back behind your back, dropping down as low as is comfortable for that shoulder. And we're almost done. And let it relax. Go ahead and stand back up. We have 1 round of those reverse lunges left. And start them up, stepping back behind you. Try to get a nice long step behind you at the same time as dropping that knee down to the ground as low as you can control. This is your last exercise of this routine, so make sure you're pushing it as hard as you can, doing the hardest version you can control. Just a few repetitions left. And let it relax. Good job. That was the last repetition, which means this workout is complete. Well done.